Remake is a word that's becoming one of the most popular uses of the re prefix, up there with reduce, reuse, and regret. It feels like ever since the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy showed off just how successful a remake could be, there's been a constant stream of them. Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy VII, Link's Awakening, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Spyro the Dragon, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, all of these have been fully remade and for the most part, were incredible new ways to experience these games. However, while it's great that so many classic games are seeing new life, and I myself have a few favorites that I would love to see remade, I think one of the biggest benefits of remaking a game is fixing up or improving what was already there. A remake is a second chance to make a good game into a great game, and a great game into an incredible one. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker was a great game, but then near the end of it, Nintendo said, "You know that one thing, fun! Get rid of it." The Triforce quest occurred right before the end of the game and is infamous for just how tedious it is, tearing down the quality of the game as a whole. But 11 years later, Wind Waker got a remake on the Wii U, and it changed the Triforce quest in the way we all wanted. It made it tolerable. Beyond the Triforce quest, Wind Waker HD made many minor changes that were mostly just for convenience sake, but it all added up to make the whole game so much more enjoyable. The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker HD is the prime example of a good remake. A remake all other remakes should look up to. I don't like it because there's too much bloom, and that's why you shouldn't trust my opinions. However, Wind Waker was a good game that just suffered from design flaws, but there's other good games that suffered from being in one way or another, broken. Usually when someone says, "this game needs a remake," what they mean is, it'd be great to experience Super Smash Bros. Melee with enhanced graphics and online features on a modern console, and not Super Mario 64 DS causes me physical pain. Remaking Super Mario 64 as a launch title for the Nintendo DS was a brilliant idea. It showed off the amazing graphical power of the Nintendo 64, and now was showing off just how much the Nintendo DS's hardware could do. It broke the boundaries of how big and explorative a game could be, and now is being expanded upon with new levels, new stars, and new characters. It proudly displayed how amazing movement in a game could be with a full analog joystick, and on the DS, where's the joystick? The reason Mario 64 is still as fun today as it was back then is just because of how fun it is to move throughout Mario's worlds. It feels so gratifying mastering his movement and being able to smoothly get anywhere you wanted in an instant, pulling off so many tricks and maneuvers on your way there. And you want me to do all that with this? 64DS adds so much content too. Being able to play as Yoshi, Wario, and Luigi in Mario 64 is surreal. I really would love to replay 64DS, but that would require me to play 64DS. If Mario 64 ever got remade, I think having an option to play through it with all the DS's additional content would do wonders. Also, side note, the game is programmed for you to only be able to move in 8 directions, so playing on the 3DS thumb pad doesn't offer any more precision than playing on the D-pad. And if you're gonna tell me to play it like this, then all I have to say to you is IDRWTBTFTS. I don't really want to, but thanks for the suggestion. In a similar situation is Kid Icarus Uprising. I personally haven't played it as I was never interested in games that had the word Kid, Icarus, and Uprising in the title, but there's no other game where people will say to me it's one of my favorite games ever, and then in the same breath go, playing it made me wish I didn't have hands. Just put it on Switch, it's already pretty up to date graphically, make all the anime peoples happy. Now, I don't know about you, but if I truly love a game, I like to complete it. Grabbing all the collectibles, unlocking all the bonuses, doing all the things. Not only does it maximize the amount of gameplay I get out of it, but spending that time to do it all acts as a testament to how much I truly like the game. Space Station Silicon Valley challenges that concept by saying, no. It's a game where you're a robotic computer chip named Evo, and you take control of the robot animals on Silicon Valley to defeat and take control of other robot animals, solve puzzles, do the platforming, and complete objectives. It's actually quite similar in concept to Mario Odyssey, but the main difference is that Mario has a whole moveset without taking control of enemies, and Evo is helpless without a host. I absolutely adore this game. So much so that it's one of my all-time favorite Nintendo 64 games. But it's just about my least favorite piece of programming right under Microsoft Word. It has the clunkiness you'd expect from a Nintendo 64 game, really any N64 game could use a remake for that reason, but I wish the clunk was its biggest issue. There's times when you complete an objective and the game doesn't realize you've done so, forcing you to restart the whole level in hopes that the game actually functions as intended next time. But that doesn't compare to the fact that the game is literally unbeatable. You see, in every stage there's these little round collectibles. 15 of them are in each level, and since it keeps track of how many you've gotten, they're required for 100% completion. Those work as intended. But there's these golden trophies that appear once each stage, usually requiring you to solve some sort of hidden puzzle in order for it to spawn. It's shown on the level select screen whether or not you got the trophy for that stage, but on the level Fat Bear Mountain, only the 6th level in the entire game. Once you successfully solve the puzzle, watch the trophy appear and make your way over there, you walk through it. The trophy has no collision detection, meaning there is no way to 100% the game. Never mind the fact that collecting all of them unlocks a bonus minigame, meaning there's no way to play that without cheats. Imagine how many hours people spent in a pre-internet time trying to figure out how to collect the trophy, when in reality, the game was just lying to them. Space Station Silicon Valley is so good. It just needs to be fixed. The Crash remakes were pretty good, weren't they? They breathed new life into what was essentially a dead franchise, while also making Crash really ugly. However, there exists a Crash game that I think deserves a remake just as much as the originals did, but for entirely different reasons. Crash Twinsanity is a game that released to the reception of, you could play it if you want to. Even though all I saw back then was a magazine ad, it always stuck in my mind because it didn't look like the original Crash games, but at the same time didn't look like the crappy new ones either. It left me curious what the actual game was like until about 12 years later when I got it in the mail. I didn't order this. After playing through it, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It's a much less linear approach to the Crash Bandicoot gameplay, while still retaining the fun of the originals. Not to mention it has a wonderfully unique a cappella soundtrack by the band Spiral Mouth that really brings the whole experience together. But despite how much I enjoyed it, it felt unfinished. And that's because it is unfinished. The game was heavily rushed to meet its deadline, and so we were left with a game that's 3 hours long. The game has over 400 reported glitches, and by abusing just some of those, the game can be beaten in only 14 minutes. To be honest, I think glitches are really fun to mess around with and just overall cool in concept, and in the case of Crash Twinsanity, it doesn't really hinder a normal playthrough. What's here is playable, it's absolutely no Sonic 06, but the reason the game needs a remake is because around a third of the game is missing. So many levels were cut from the game and a lot of them were near finished too. Just looking at the concept art, you can tell there were much bigger plans for this game. Considering how fun the game already is despite being nowhere near finished, I feel like a remake that puts all the cut content back into the game would leave us with something truly special. Now obviously you could take about just any game and say it'd be better with a remake, and you wouldn't be wrong. I'm sure someone out there is begging for a remake of Bases Loaded, and they have every right to. But these are games that have levels of potential way off the charts, and unfortunate circumstances kept them from having the potential to reach that potential. So those are some broken games that literally need remakes, or as this video would alternatively be called, Gonz talks about games he likes a lot, except for Super Mario 64 DS, he doesn't like that one very much. Gonz.